Welcome to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam.
Yeah, they already told me my talk was too technical. Unfortunately, like, I think it was super high level, but yeah, it was actually designed for bear market and Ethereum price back on like above 2000. So I think we saw back, and we should start talking about like getting more VC money instead of speaking about better tech. But here we are. So I'm Pavel from Igra Labs. We're building Igra Network, which is EVM, zero-knowledge-based rollup, on top of Kaspa blockDAG decentralized sequencer. Our DevNet was recently launched, and testnet is coming this summer. We have already 15 teams building on Igra. So what this talk is about and why we're here. So I think we're here because we want to build something decentralized. I think it still makes sense. Recently, we see a big shift, not just from making sense point of view, but also from regulatory landscape. Actually, legal requirements for teams building decentralized systems currently gently nudge us into the being decentralized. I mean, for every team who is building anything related to crypto, they know that you don't really want to control people's funds, and you should be decentralized just for the sake of compliance. It's for good and for bad. So it's, but also, yeah, you know, why would we build another centralized database? Like, keep people asking the same question. I think that actually layer 1 and layer 2s who are centralized in a way, they have their own market. It's fine. It's just, it's not super interesting. So again, let's I try to explain today what I think is a minimal constraint for rollups is, and why based rollups on decentralized sequencers, decentralized shared sequencers, can be a solution for fragmentation of programmable blockchains. So it's not only about scaling Ethereum, it's also about like building the better designs for programmable blockchains in general. So this is, yeah, and let's talk about Rollups. Rollups is a scaling solution for Ethereum, and actually Ethereum found its product market fit as a settlement layer. You can see just by how many different teams built on Ethereum. I think it's a great match. Like, you have finally real product as an infrastructure. I'm not really sure I understand ultrasound mining narrative for Ethereum, because Ethereum as a infrastructure make much more sense. It just works. Again, you can see by amount of rollups which are already built on Ethereum. And rollups initially made a lot of sense as a scalable execution environment, but they completely doesn't make sense as a standalone consensus. Because like, building your consensus is hard, and Ethereum took several years to get where it is now. Same goes for several other projects. I mean, also Bitcoin, like to get this credible neutrality. So why should we build it? But still, that's what people did. They built L2s with centralized components in this, especially centralized sequencers. And this is what we have currently. So this is this famous tweet, which states, like, inform us that it's actually a good thing that L2 base actually paid 1% of its revenue like back to layer 1. I don't think, like, I would argue that it's because Base or any other rollup is malicious and diverge from Ethereum just because they had it. No, just because there is no better solution for them than to build whatever they build currently. I will touch it in a second, what I exactly mean by that. So that's this drama around extracting value by L2s from L1. I think it's like kids growing up in parents' house and not paying any rent, despite having their own salary. Yeah, it's kind of, you can apply social pressure to this to solve it, maybe, but it doesn't scale the solution. I believe we should have combination of different incentives. We should build architectures which gently enforce systems, rollups, whatever, just to behave in a rational and eventually good way, like this, the sharing is caring kind of things, not be isolated. But this, so like being decentralized should make sense, and fragmented shouldn't be. Why? But why we think, like why I think the whole thing happened? It's because we don't have blockchain trilemma, we have quadrilemma with interoperability being the central ingredient, the central missing ingredient. Because without interconnectivity between systems, everyone's go astray and start building their own thing, and we don't have any alignment in the ecosystem. So what's missed? Like why interoperability is a missing ingredient? First, I think because it's hard to build. Like consensus is hard to build, as we all know. To build like credible neutrality, consensus, decentralized in terms of validator diversification is hard problem. And then synchronizing between them, it's even harder, like, because you have different ecosystems, different everything. So syncing between them is a hard engineering problem. So this is one thing, and also like I keep saying, like people telling me like why you think it's Ethereum is not replaceable actually, like why can't we use it anything else for communication layer? Essentially, Rollup is just a web service, and Ethereum is AWS. We can replace AWS with whatever we like, and then build on this foundation. Well, no, you can't, because again, Ethereum is a brilliant product, I believe, and I still have bugs in Ethereum, although I'm building on completely different infrastructure now. So I'm kind of shielding my bugs now. So, but without coordination mechanisms, it's just not going to scale. So this is so Ethereum make a lot of sense. We should improve it, but without coordination, without intercommunication, it's just not interesting. Not going to work. So this there are also several different credible consensuses on the market. There is obviously Bitcoin, but yeah. And there is another solution which I will tell you about like in a second. So just saying, like, what's the how would you create this communication layer between rollups? I think it's just here. Like when we talk about modular architecture for programmable blockchains, specifically Ethereum-compatible blockchains, but this all makes sense for other chains as well. Consensus is actually a sequencer. Like your sequencing defines your state. So when you, and that make a lot of sense to externalize your sequencer and make it shared, and that's what's important. But then, unfortunately, what we see in all existing L2s, instead of externalizing sequencer and make it shared, they have it centralized, and it's a single point of failure. It's really weak solution by any regard, and this is what we currently have. Like we have silos, we have islands, which connected with very fragile, very non-reliable bridges. It doesn't scale, it's permissioned, it doesn't make any sense because there is no other solution, unfortunately. And all this, obviously islands are like kind of drifting away. So because they don't have like any proper communication layer, and not just communication layer, they don't have a way to communicate one with each other. Like it's crazy, we as an industry, like Web3, we have web servers essentially, if you think the Rollup is a web server, and you should wait 7 days for another web server for you to confirm your call. Or you should collocate your APIs on the same machine so you can call them. Because that's how currently it works. Like if you want to call a smart contract from your smart contract, they have to be collocated on the same Rollup. It's not good. So there is a solution. We think there is a solution in the form of based Rollup on shared sequencer. So this way, every Rollup actually which share the sequencer can effectively communicate with another Rollup, share even state. They all Rollups on top of the same sequencer will inherit its liveness and security. So again, it have to be strong, fast, and credible sequencer. But then once you have it, it's like you can have several really cool features in your ecosystem. So the coolest thing I think about based rollups, again, based rollup, it's a rollup which use another based layer as a sequencer. I think that's good enough definition. So when you share a sequencer, you can have more or less out of the box atomic composability, not just synchronous atomic composability, meaning one rollup can call another rollup in the same transaction, and these several calls will fail or execute simultaneously, like in atomic manner. This can create like some really cool applications, and this can create actually a network effect, which we're all looking for in current programmable chains world. So also you can build, if you want, you can build a unified asset layer similar to Solana. So every rollup will actually reference the same assets, which also defragment the ecosystem, helps to fight fragmentation of liquidity, which is kind of a good thing. You can also plug in diverse VMs. So think that your rollup, for example, uses Solana VM or whatever, Wasm, or I actually talked to the real guy who wanted to build on Lisp. And think that this Lisp rollup can call another Solana rollup in the same transaction. So this is a solution for fragmentation. If we shouldn't look elsewhere. That's something which can really move industry forward, because I'd argue we stagnate a bit. If you look at layer 2 TVL, it's kind of stuck, right? You see, it was a really strong growth in first years, like 2022, 2023, and then 2024 down. Like, why? I'd argue, like, why? Because it's not like we're completely out of money. There is still TVL, but it's not growing anymore. Yes, it's partially because of VC money. They don't come anymore for rollups, but it's also because there is nowhere to grow. Like all these L2s, they're not super interesting. It's kind of like you can live in your small Kraken rollup, you can live in your small base rollup, or like no diss to Arbitrum or Optimism, like was using them a lot. But again, you have limits. You're in your small kingdom. It's not how internet works. Like in internet, you build with each other, you cross-pollinate, you call whatever you like, you take your data in 1 second, and it just works for you. So why should we have something different in Web3? Like, can't we do like any better? So that's but that's a nice vision, right? Like, why can't we build it tomorrow? Why can't we have it? Why can't we have nice things? Well, because there is a hard constraint in this architecture, and this is a sequencing speed. For shared sequencer to be proper communication and interoperability solution, you should have really fast, not just credible, but really fast sequencer. It's not just about like security, it's also about sub-second finality of your base layer. Also, you should have enough block space, and yes, as I said, there should be security and credible neutrality. All this very important. So for Ethereum layer 1, for example, there are several initiatives. Watching them really closely, happy to see like these things evolved, because to be honest, when I heard 5 years timeline in Bangkok last year, I was kind of astonished, not in a good way. But then finally, like some better, like improved solutions came up, and then like so now latency probably will be partially solved by based preconfs. This is like post Fusaka upgrade end of this year. Then by dunk sharding, the blob space will be increased. So just more space to save your to sequence your transactions. And like for interop, I've seen several really interesting cross rollup messaging protocols. Like they're there. You also need adoption, but yeah, adoption, it's a social coordination thing. It's hard to build. It just should be there. Still, I think we're looking for at least 2-3 years time until Ethereum can be this perfect sequencer. I might be wrong, but it's just my hunch. So I would say we should look elsewhere. And there are several really interesting projects on the market. So obviously there are in Ethereum-centric world, there is Espresso, Aztec, Radius, Astria. like this really great projects. It's like there is lots to learn, but like for us specifically, Kaspa blockDAG stood out. It's a blockDAG essentially, so it's it's a system which built as a direct acyclic graph. You can think about this as a very performant Bitcoin. It was based on Bitcoin script and its core logic. It's proof of work, right? So I happy not so many people here because I thought I could be really burned here on a stick, like not so many people, I can fight all of you. But yeah, it's proof of work, and I'm talking about proof of work on Ethereum conference. I'm that reckless. But we think that it has a really interesting, unique properties. It's not just speed. Although speed is there, its recent upgrade just unlocked 10 BPS, 10 blocks per second. And it means roughly converts into 5,000 transactions per second. But it's not just interesting, like just speed is not interesting. Like my local computer can do 1 million transactions per second. But it's interesting because it's a really credible and secure base layer, secure consensus. So this is any layer 2 which built on top of blockDAG will inherit its liveness, 5,000 TPS, and security. Today, it's secured by 1 exahash. So for the context, 1 exahash is what Bitcoin had 8 years ago in 2016. So it's not that far. So fingers crossed, we'll get this on our blockDAG as well. And yes, it has several other great properties. For example, since there is no complex builder proposal separation, miners actually, like, these are entities which sequence your transactions. It's MEV resilient, meaning like you cannot easily extract value. It's much harder. It's resilient. I'm not saying like there is no MEV. You can do if you try, but it's much more resilient than other systems. And it opens the way to interesting mechanics like fair auctions, for example. So miners actually compete for your transaction, not you paying rent or fee for, you know, for using this specific L2 blockchain. And also there is possibility to use actually miners as oracles. So you can use this consensus, blockDAG consensus, for serving as Oracle network, which is really also very interesting, cool design. And like for people who like super sarcastic, skeptic, and I completely understand that, it's 3 years, for 3 years running in production, and it's secured by 2 billion of liquidity. So I invite you to research it, to ask hard questions about that. We think that its security and credible neutrality properties make it an excellent shared decentralized sequencer, at least for us. So I cannot cover Igra network architecture in deep, don't have time, but if you like, reach out if you're interested, I can give you details. So this is like really quick overview. And we are currently at in the middle of very interesting debates about programmable chain architecture, and this debate is mostly Ethereum-centric, because yeah, the whole thing about Rollups came from Ethereum Foundation. Also, based Rollups idea came from Ethereum Foundation, so it just makes sense. It's still kind of here. So we want to expand this debate, and we invite you to look elsewhere, just at better, simpler, more modular systems with high degree of decentralization, because it matters. And we believe we can build blueprints that not only like benefit, again, some new ecosystems, but they eventually can be absorbed into Ethereum itself, right? So once it's ready. So yeah, we came here to build systems that's decentralized, performant, secure, and interconnected, and bring value to people. Yes, I'd love to open this up to discussion. There are lots of open questions here, lots of unfinished thoughts, I know. And I think this kind of conversation will benefit a lot from experiences and different perspectives, which we have in this room. So please reach out. My DMs are open, like super interested in your thoughts. And thank you for coming.
Yes, yes. A big round of applause for Pavel, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you have any questions, please use Slido for that. I see you do have one question. I think you already kind of touched about it, but how exactly does Kaspa DAG architecture help Ethereum scale?
It's, if you use it, so super high level, if you use Kaspa blockDAG as a shared decentralized sequencer for your L2, and also do settlement on Ethereum with zero knowledge. By the way, I left out all parts which touch zero knowledge because it will be just would be just twice as long. But then if you do your proofs on Ethereum, you enjoy from Ethereum security and credibility, and you have super fast sequencer, and then you can have synchronous atomic composability, and finally have interconnectivity solution, which we're all desperately looking for.
All right, thank you. That's pretty much it. No, one more time, please thank Pavel for very technical breakdown of how to scale Ethereum. Thank you.